Now, the core of this is unifying the party after
Yes.
this court, the Supreme Court's judgment. But is this likely going to bring the Sheriff group closer to the party and accepting that olive branch has been pushed to it, now that it is waiting on his lawyers to interpret the outcome of that ruling to them?
I don't understand why they're waiting. I clearly kicked against the fact that they say they're waiting. What are you waiting for? This is a final decision. I mean, I was in this studio and I kicked against some guest in this studio that was talking about 97% and 95% and 5%. I thought that was very responsible. These are not the kind of people we want to hear in our party at this material point in time. We're looking at total reconciliation. We're not looking at you talking about 95% or 5%. Yes, Sheriff had a point, but that point has been subsumed. We must subsume ourselves under the leadership of MAKARFI. Where MAKARFI will get it wrong is where I will align with Mantu, who has clearly said it, that if they do not check the lack of internal democracy in my party and the impunity that has been in my party, then that's where we have totally got it wrong. I believe 2019, the presidency is asked for the asking. That's what I believe. But if we do not get our acts right, we are going to shoot ourselves in the foot the way we shot ourselves in the foot in 2015.
Does Sheriff have an option in terms of where he goes next?
Well, Sheriff came from the APC. I don't think Sheriff is a bad man. I don't see why he will not subsume himself under the leadership of MAKARFI. He has no choice. If he decides to leave PDP, he will only show to the outside world that he's bitter and that what they have been saying about him is true, which he has not shown all this while that he has obeyed the law. What I expect Sheriff to do, I read the papers today and I was hearing someone say that Sheriff doesn't have a Twitter handle and he did not congratulate MAKARFI. I quickly sent a message across and I said, look, let the fake Twitter handles not do the work before him. If you look at Ize-Iyamu fought a very long and tortuous battle. But Ize-Iyamu congratulated Obaseki. He hasn't taken anything away from Ize-Iyamu. And Obaseki was very gracious in reaching out to Ize-Iyamu on national television and saying that he's reached out to him. That's exactly what we should do. As a family, we should be thinking of the larger cause of the party and not for our immediate interest. But I will not always forget to point out that we must checkmate the impunity that has reigned supreme in our party. In fact, I think our party decides to apologize to Nigerians.
They should apologize.
They should apologize for what we have done in terms of this rigmarole and this long circles we have taken.
Not from the past 16 years.
No, I don't think we should. It's not about apology in terms of the past 16 years. Yes, we have had our ups and downs, but the APC government has come, and the 2 years of APC has shown that they have been a total failure in terms of the economy. In terms of security, we can give them a pass mark. Not 100% pass mark because of the headsmen.
But you've heard what they have said also about the economy, if you're talking about the economy.
Oh, the economy, they have been
looking at so many programs.
They were definitely not prepared.
At the so many programs that are still in the pipeline, that are still coming through. Borrowing will still resume.
What programs are we...
The budgets of 7.44 trillion is going to be financed.
Gimba, what we are talking about is 2.3 trillion, which is within our GDP. You're talking about 2.3 trillion, which is within our GDP. But how do you talk about a party where Fashola is giving 10 billion for the Ibadan-Lagos Expressway and he's owing 35 billion? How do you talk about a party that did not fund the second Niger bridge, which was one of the campaign promises of Buhari? How do you talk about a party that refused to fund the Mambila Plateau, and yet they have the majority numbers in the both bicameral chambers, so to say? We're talking about the Senate and the House of Reps. It's like they are already programmed to fail.
The PDP seems to suggest to many people that they actually need that rebranding now. Do you think the PDP is positioned to stand up as the main opposition party now that we're heading to 2019?
There's no reason why we shouldn't stand as a major opposition party. We need to rebrand. I'm happy what has happened has happened. Someone called me.
Will rebranding make a difference?
It will make a difference because someone called me the other day and said, look,
how will it make a difference?
You guys lost the 2015 election and you seem not to have learned any lesson. And I was quite worried. Why I was quite worried is that the elections, we're talking about the national elections in terms of the national officers of the PDP. But we had our reasons to question the ward, local government elections and the state executive elections. So when you rebrand, you're going to send a new message. You see, a lot is dependent on MAKARFI. He's going to either make or mar this party, and I'm saying the truth. A lot of us have held on to this party because we still believe that we can provide a viable opposition, not because we don't have alternatives, and not because we cannot remain as politicians and be able to win our elections from other platforms. Like I told you, a political capital is when you have the grassroots. You're like a banker that has deposits. You take your deposits to another bank. When you have the grassroots, you don't worry, you don't fret. Now, if we don't rebrand, we are basking in the euphoria of the failures of APC. That's all we are doing now. We must tell the people what we're bringing on the table. They have seen our failures. They have called us thieves. They have called us corrupt people. They have called us those who have refused to move Nigeria forward. We must bring something on the table to tell them that, look, we can make the difference. Yes, the economy was a lot better when we were in charge.
Do you believe that arrogance?
Do
you believe that arrogance for the PDP was one major concern that you had?
I don't even believe.
Going into 2015, that's resulted. Can you change that arrogance?
I don't believe it's arrogance. It's arrogance, 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 arrogance. I give it in 4 places. That is why I'm talking about rebranding. Now, a situation whereby I say I'm running for an election, and because the governor doesn't like my face, and because the governor doesn't think I'm going to do his bidding, he does everything impossible to make sure that I emerge as a party's candidate. He doesn't even think that even if he has 3 or 4 who are members of a party, he should send us to a primary election so that the best candidate would emerge. We must rebrand. Osun is a typical example. It was a case of rebranding. Adeleke was in APC. APC sold out to us. They refused to give him the ticket. They made it impossible for him to have the ticket. And he came back to the family where they belong to. And we came together, the MAKARFI group and the Sheriff group, and said, to hell with our quarrel. We need to win this election. And we won it by 30,000 votes. So that rebranding is exactly what we should tell the people. And from what you have seen, from the promises that Adeleke has made, which I expect him to keep, it is obvious that the people have seen that they have tried this option. It's like marrying 2 wives. You've been married to this woman for like 30 years. And you marry another woman, and now you can see the difference.
That takes us to looking at internal democracy. As you said, godfatherism seems to be a major problem.
Yes, that's it.
How are we going to deal with that issue of godfatherism? Can it be expunged from the whole political process?
Okay, let me give you an example. Theodore G was the governor. Sorry, I'm calling names, but they are backed with empirical evidence. Was the governor of Abia State for 8 years. He was the chief of staff for Orji Okalu for 8 years. Orji Okalu did not want to hear any other advice when it came to who he was going to anoint as the governor of Abia State. It had to be Theodore G. But today, Theodore G and Orji Okalu are parallel lines. I can give many more examples. What of Amechi and Peter Odili, who was his PA and was his speaker? And for 8 years,
for those two, he has said that he's not fighting. He's not having a quarrel. He's not having a quarrel with him, though.
Oh, who said that?
He says it himself.
Amechi?
Yes.
Amechi is not being honest with the truth. He knows that he wasn't actually fair to Peter Odili when he was governor of Rivers State. But that is not even my business. What I'm saying here is that you know why I like Sule Lamido? He said, look, when they asked him who was the governor you're going to anoint, he said, name any governor that was anointed and did not quarrel with his predecessor in office. So let them learn a lesson from those that keep anointing, because you don't know human character. I'm a politician. I know how painful it is when you feel betrayed. Let them learn to say there should be no godfatherism. If you're a governor and you have people going for the office of governor, allow the thing play out itself. And take the back burner and know that your time is past. I think one thing about it again is the issue of corruption is at the front burner. When you know you have a lot of skeletons in your cupboard, that's when you want to impose somebody that you think that will watch your back. If not, why would you not allow democracy to evolve? And let's do this issue of godfatherism.
At what point do parties begin to answer this question of internal democracy? Does it start from the primaries, and who is pushed forward to run in, to even contest in that primary?
It doesn't start from the primaries, Gimba.
Where does it start?
It starts from the Congress, how you elect the local government executives, the ward executives and the state executives. Because whether you like it or not, there is no member of the House of Rep or Senate that will say he did not pay his delegates to vote for him. First of all, you will nominate them. You will not even allow them go through an election. You will nominate them. When they emerge, you will still pay them to go and vote for you.
But who is nominating them?
You.
Why should you nominate them?
Which is very wrong.
Why not the people? Why not the people?
That's exactly what I'm saying, Gimba. Why not the people? You will not allow the people and nominate them. You will not allow these people to emerge. You will say, oh no, this person is loyal to me. This is my structure. I must hold on to my structure. What was all the quarrel about in terms of PDP, we want to have our structure. If Sheriff remains, we won't have our structure. If MAKARFI remains, we won't have our structure.
What do you think? What do you think of independent candidacy?
Can
this help? Can this help to checkmate the internal democracy question they were trying to answer?
It should not only help; it would be a balm in Gilead. It would be a soothing balm. Once you have the independent candidacy, there's so many people that are very popular. You remember that when I'll use an example. In Ondo State, when they were going to go for the elections in Ondo State, we had the Orange Movement, and we had Labour Party. If some candidates were allowed to go for an election, that's from independent candidates were allowed to go for an election. I'm not trying to eulogize Wike here, but I believe if Wike stands for an election in Rivers State without any party, he will still win. I'm also being honest. I believe if Fayose stands for an election in Ekiti State without any party, he will still win. Because they've endeared themselves.
So Nigeria has now
I believe if Ambode
to looking at individuals rather than party.
I'm PDP, but I believe if Ambode runs for an election in Lagos State,
it has come to this point where you look at individuals. It has come to a point where you look at individuals rather than looking at the party.
That's exactly what we agreed to, because the parties have failed us.
So what will be your final words in looking at internal democracy?
My final words in internal democracy is that it should be number one. You see, the 3,500 petitions you talked about is because of lack of internal democracy. If we had pursued internal democracy, we would have gotten the most popular candidate. And by the time you go for the main election, it becomes easier. So if we do not settle the issue of internal democracy, we always have election petitions.
So what's your plan? Are you running for any office?
Well, 2019 will decide.
Thank you so much.
Most likely I might.
Ken Okologbo is a political analyst talking to us about the so many concerns that have been raised in the political spectrum. Many thanks indeed to you also for being part of State of the Nation at this time. I'm Gimba Umar. That's the show. We'll see you same time next week. Bye for now.